This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Your hand touches mine under the covers. I know you're not fine. You've been pretending. I just want you to know you don't ever have to be alone. But you keep telling me that it'll be better if we're not together. You're scared of staying, looking for a way out to run, but I'm not leaving. We're not done. Will you stay, stay, stay? Will you stay?
The following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, you know it. It does not matter who the host is. Never has, never will, never should. Anyways, how are you on this lovely and terrific Tuesday? Because you know that's where the action is. It is Tuesday morning. Yes, yes, yes. Don't forget about that because that is always important to talk about. Today's Tuesday, November the 28th of 2023, day 332 of the year, and only 33 days left to go. Yeah, that's kind of how the world goes. We continue to tick down to the countdown to extinction. Anyways, here is how it goes. We are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues at that other place.
You're being infiltrated. Radio Big.
Okay, so when you're doing the infiltration with Radio Big, that's the way that the world goes. That's the way that the world pans out. And that's the way that things happen from time to time. So there you go. Some lovely stuff as things are happening and circulating inside of that circumference of a circle, because that's the way that things happen. Anyways, we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios. So just so you know, coming across that multiverse kind of thing, because that is what we do around here. So as we are talking, hanging, and banging this morning, a lot of stuff going on. So let me kind of give you the layout real quick. Number one, if you want to interact with the show, it's a simple process on doing so. All you have to do is go to callinradio.com. That's Call In Radio. You know, you do the call in, you get onto the radio, you come here, we talk, we move, we groove. That's it. When you get there, you're going to have about 3 options there. So, video, audio, text messaging. Those are the options to get you inside of the system, and we get it moving and grooving from that particular point on. Not a problem, not an issue. We just get it moving. So there you go. Some fun stuff as we are talking and moving. So with that being said, let's talk about some other stuff as things are going on and moving about and all of that. We are a show that talks about safety in the news and safety. So what does that mean? Well, we talk about what's going on from a standpoint of what's going on in real time, because we have some professional newscasters that come in and start yapping away, talking about moving around and all that kind of fun stuff. So that's that side. The other side of the equation is that we talk about some safety stuff. And we talk about some things that are going on inside of that particular world because it's always exciting to see what exactly is happening. But with that being said, let's start talking right away about some of the stuff that was trending in the overnight.
Here is what was trending. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so taking it from the top, let's see. Elon Musk visits Israel and a kooky passenger gets a flight canceled. We'll talk about that. Shakira faces more accusation from Spanish authorities, and Ozzy Osbourne is holding out hope for one more show. Taylor Swift's Era Tour movie is heading to streaming, and Nicolas Cage is planning to take on fewer roles. What else do we have going on? And then we're going to talk about everything else that's going on inside of the world, because that is what we do around here. That is what we do. Anyway, so with that being said, why don't we get you started with some new stuff? Because I think that that's always important for us to move, groove, talk about, move inside of the issues that are potentially going on and all of that kind of fun stuff. So, if you're ready, I'm ready, and we're going to get you moving. And it's going to go something like this. We are going to get some Mark Mayfield into our life for us to find out exactly what is going on with the news.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
NBC News Radio, I'm Mark Mayfield. Israel and Hamas are agreeing to pause fighting for another 2 days. Trey Thomas reports.
National Security Council spokesman John Kirby told reporters Hamas has agreed to release another 20 hostages over that time.
This humanitarian pause has already brought a halt to the fighting, together with a surge of humanitarian assistance.
Kirby said he believes less than 10 Americans are still being held by the militant group. The White House is calling for a longer pause to allow the release of all hostages. I'm Trey Thomas.
President Biden is rolling out new actions to strengthen U.S. supply chains.
We're doubling down on our work at home, starting right here, right now, with the launch of a new Council on Supply Chain Resilience.
While speaking from the White House Monday, Biden said the new council will focus on ensuring supply chains remain secure and diversified. Other actions include the creation of an early warning system to spot supply chain risks. Biden said his administration is focused on lowering the price of goods for Americans. A Southwest Airlines passenger is being evaluated at a hospital after exiting through a plane's emergency exit hatch at a Louisiana airport over the weekend. It happened on the Skyway while the plane wasn't moving at Louis Armstrong New Orleans International Airport. Officials say the man climbed onto the plane's wing before being caught on the tarmac. It's not clear what prompted the passenger to open the emergency exit. The Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office said no criminal charges have been filed, and the investigation has been referred to federal authorities. And former First Lady Rosalind Carter is lying in repose at the Jimmy Carter Presidential Library in Atlanta. The family has invited members of the public to pay their respects. Former President Jimmy Carter is planning to attend the memorial service for his wife. He is reportedly in Atlanta after traveling from his hospice care to take part in the service. President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden will also be attending. Carter passed away earlier this month at the age of 96. You're listening to the latest from NBC News Radio.
Listen at your own risk. Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in London, I'm Ollie Barrett. A temporary ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is into its fifth day after a 48-hour extension. Diggers called rat hole miners are meters away from 41 workers trapped in a tunnel in India's state of Uttarakhand. North Korea claims a satellite it launched last week has taken photos of American facilities, and reports say Chinese fashion giant Shein is preparing to sell shares for the first time in New York.
Safety never sounded so terrible. Rated R Safety Show.
The groundbreaking debate between California Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom and Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis happens this week. Brooks Walker reports.
The Governor Go-Round is part of a 2-hour Hannity special that will put a spotlight on the two governors' leadership viewpoints in their states. Each will make their case for whether red or blue policies are best for the nation. Moderator Sean Hannity will grill them on key issues, including the economy and inflation, immigration and the border, and crime. DeSantis is vying for the Republican nomination. Newsom supports a Biden re-election, yet critics accuse him of running a shadow campaign. The political showdown airs Thursday on Fox at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm Brooks Walker.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer plans to bring a bill tying Israel and Ukraine funding to the floor as soon as next week. President Biden is requesting $106 billion from Congress for Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and border funding. But Republicans are seeking border policy changes as part of any spending bill, a demand that Schumer says is holding up critical aid to U.S. allies. House Republicans, meanwhile, want Israel and Ukraine funding to be passed separately. Google is just days away from deleting inactive accounts. Phil Hewlett explains.
Beginning December 1st, Google will delete unattended accounts of all photos, calendar entries, emails, contacts, and Drive documents. The company says it's an effort to protect users from security threats. According to Google's data experts, accounts with old or reused passwords are 10 times more likely to be compromised by hackers. To keep an account from being deleted, simply log into any of the following Google tools: Gmail, Google Drive, Google Photos, or Google Play. Changing the account password and enabling two-factor verification is recommended. I'm Phil Hewlett.
And a former WWE superstar will spend more than 17 years behind bars after pleading no contest to DUI manslaughter in Florida. A judge handed down the sentence for Tamara Sitch, who went by the wrestling name Sunny, on Monday. She was accused of being 3 times over the legal limit when she crashed her car and killed a 75-year-old man. Mark Mayfield, NBC News Radio.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Get ready to skyrocket your safety consulting career with the Cyber Week Safety Consultant Package. This limited time offer is your golden ticket to success, but it's available only during Cyber Week 2023 until Friday, December 1st at midnight. Dive into a year of expert guidance with safetyconsultant.tv, valued at $150. Master the game-changing Safety Consultant Blueprint course, worth $275. And yes, a private, half-an-hour one-on-one call, guiding you on your journey, valued at $150, is included. The total package value? A massive $575. But during Cyber Week, it's yours for just $275. Don't miss this one-time opportunity. Claim your Cyber Week Safety Consultant Package now at sheldonprimus.com/cyberweek. Your success is just a click away.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobilemobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
Hello.
Radio Big. Streaming 24/7 at radiobig.fm.
Well, you know that here at Safety FM and Radio Big, we're always trying to look for life hacks. So with the busy season just around the corner, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for your jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kits, can help you fuel up with fast chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, and ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. Refresh your healthy habits without missing a beat. Choose from 34 weekly flavored packs. Dietitian-approved meals ready to eat in 2 minutes. All you need to do is head over to factorsmeals.com/safetyfm50 and use code safetyfm50 to get 50% off. That's code safetyfm50 at factormeals.com/safetyfm50 to get 50% off. Go there. Do it now.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
Head Have you ever wanted to start live streaming and were not sure how to do it? You can start live streaming up to 40 social media platforms all at one time for as little as nada. It's going to cost you your time. That is what it's going to cost. You can pre-record, you can live stream, you can do a multitude of things. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com/one. That's safetyfm.com, ONE.
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Oh, yes, here we are, 15 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Tuesday and getting to do everything that is so much fun and hanging out and, getting to do the radio stuff. I mean, as we hang out on this lovely Tuesday, what else you want to talk about? How was yesterday for you, by the way? Like, you got back. It had been some time. You got to do the work stuff again. Some people struggle as they get back into it, and maybe that's not what we want to talk about today. Maybe what we want to talk about is, how different the world is from time to time. How different things are as we get into it. How different things are as we move and groove. Like, seriously. Sometimes we just have to think about it, opposed to just kind of sitting there and going, how's life going today? Maybe that's the way to give it some consideration. Anyways, let's get into the shit list real quick because it's always fun to do that. Merriam-Webster announced the word of the year, and the word is, well, picture that, authentic. In a statement, the company noted that the word has several applicable meanings in the current climate. On one hand, the word relates to much of the culture surrounding the identity of politics. On the other hand, authentic describes the actual reality as opposed to the content that is increasingly easily to generate with artificial intelligence technology. This is according to Merriam-Webster. So what do you think? Do you like the idea? It's always interesting when we start getting the words of the year. It just is, because that's how we have to take a look at the stuff. No doubt about that. So with that being said, let's talk about some other stuff. Elon Musk visited Israel on Monday and saw firsthand the destruction called by Hamas. Let's try that again. Visited Israel on Monday and saw firsthand the destruction caused by Hamas and the people that were slaughtered last month. During the live chat streamed on X with Israel Prime Minister, Musk said that he would like to help rebuilding Gaza, though he did not have any specific thing to share. The Prime Minister remained firm on his commitment on destroying Hamas and de-radicalizing its supporters. So there you go. Musk also last week said that X would be donating a chunk of its advertising revenue to hospitals in Israel and relief organizations serving the war victims in Gaza. Meanwhile, a ceasefire that has allowed hostage and prisoners exchanges between Israel and Hamas is expected to continue for another 48 hours. So what do you think? It's always interesting to see on how some of these ceasefires occur. How about we just stop it all together? Maybe that's something that we talk about there. But, that's where it starts getting political in regards of do we stop, do we not talk, do we not move, all that other kind of fun stuff that one can address during that particular time. Take a listen to this one. In addition to being one of the biggest and most valuable companies in the world, Amazon now also holds the title of the biggest parcel delivery company in the country. In 2020, Amazon delivered more packages than FedEx, and last year it surpassed UPS. Worth noting, the USPS still handles the most deliveries by volume, but it also is a money-sucking government-backed organization too. Take that as a joke. Go figure, more than 10% of UPS total revenue comes from Amazon packages alone. This is according to Wall Street Journal. So what do you think? Just imagine that, and let's get out of UPS, and let's talk about, the United Postal Service for a moment. And, you didn't see until Amazon came into the squeeze of things. Packages being delivered on Sunday by the United Postal Service, or if you did, it was kind of rare and far between. We're now with Amazon doing some stuff. You kind of see it all over the place because that's what you're normally getting on a Sunday. It's some kind of Amazon package. So there you go. Anyways, Disneyland's iconic ride, The Small World, was put on pause over the weekend after a man stripped down and joined the animatronic figures. Fellow riders were quick to film the incident, and one catching a staff member yelling at the unhinged man. Another eyewitness video shows the guy waiting in a Small World pool that is located in the Taj Mahal part of the ride. Eventually, the streaker exited the ride and the enclosure and was then seen walking around the park still without clothes. He was eventually arrested for indecent exposure and is being held under the influence and of a controlled substance. This is according to the New York Post. So imagine that. You're going into a small world and some guy decides to get naked because he wants to show you that he belongs as part of the small world.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, an unidentified 38-year-old man opened the emergency door of a Southwest plane before the aircraft even left the gate. He then climbed out onto the wing and then jumped onto the tarmac, where he was quickly detained by personnel on the ground. Officials say that the man was incoherent and confused and was taken to a mental health evaluation facility. Remarkably, the culprit faces no immediate local charges, but will be investigated by the federal authorities. Worth noting, the flight was canceled and everyone on board had to leave the plane, which itself should be a crime worth prosecuting. There are videos online, if you are intrigued by taking a look at it, that you can drop over there and go. Yeah, no doubt about that. So what do you think? What do you think? I'm going to talk about this real quick. Not something that we would normally talk about during this show, but we'll talk about it real quick. Stephen Colbert from The Late Show is on indefinite hiatus as he's recovering from surgery from a ruptured appendix. Colbert shared the news on Instagram threads on Monday, joking, going forward, all emails to his appendix will be handled by his pancreas. Last month, the show was canceled as Colbert dealt with a bout of COVID. So there you go. Some stuff going on right there. Hopefully, he heals relatively quickly from that. Don't know if you watched the show or not, but hey, it's one of those shows that's on there that gives you a different perspective on what the hell is going on inside of the world of life, because that is what people do. They want to give you different perspectives. I think that that's the whole point. You don't always want the same oogly boogly. It just seems like not something that most people would want or enjoy taking a listen to. I don't know. Just a thought there. Anyways, let's go ahead and do this. Let's bring in some Erin Ryal and let her tell you a little bit about some money matters.
President Biden is rolling out plans to improve America's logistics with a new supply chain council. The White House announced Monday that he is establishing what will formally be called the White House Council on Supply Chain Resilience. The new group will be co-chaired by the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and National Economic Advisor Lael Brainerd. Senator Michael Bennet believes there's broad bipartisan support in the Senate for an aid package that includes Ukraine, but concedes that support likely isn't there in the House.
Some Republicans who have said that in order to do that, in order to have that vote, they want to see something done on the border. The United States, I think, has an obligation to continue to support them in this fight, not just for Ukraine, but a fight for democracy.
Speaking on CBS's Face the Nation, the Colorado Democrat was referring to President Biden's request for a combined $14 billion aid package that combines Ukraine, Israel, Southeast Asia, and U.S.-Mexico border. Bennett stressed the importance of continuing support for Ukraine, not just for the country itself, but for democracy as a whole. Many House Republicans want to vote on aid to Ukraine to be separated from votes related to Israel and the U.S. southern border. Honda is recalling tens of thousands of vehicles because of an issue that could make accidents more dangerous. Silvana Anau reports.
The automaker says the 300,000 affected 2022 to 2023 HRVs and Accords could be missing a small component of the seatbelt pretensioner, which is the part of the seatbelt that makes it tighten when in a crash. No injuries or deaths have been reported because of the issue, which federal regulators credited to a manufacturing error.
Intuit is adding generative AI-powered tax prep features to TurboTax. The Mountain View, California-based company will unveil the new AI-enhanced version of its popular tax preparation software on November 30th. Human assistance in English and Spanish remains available for TurboTax Live customers. Consumer and business news, Aaron Real, NBC News Radio.
Okay, thank you, Aaron, for that information right there on what is going on. Let's talk a little bit about what I was able to locate. The Dow lost about 56 points to close at 35,333 points on Monday. Yeah, dollars, that's it. The S&P lost about 8 points to close at 4,550, and the NASDAQ dropped about 9 points to close at 14,241. West Texas Intermediate closed at $75 a barrel, and Brent crude was at $79 a barrel. The average price of a gallon of gas was down on Monday to $3.25, and Bitcoin dropped 1.2% to trade just under $37,000 on Monday evening. There was more than 3,460 flights delayed within, into, and out of the United States on Monday, and more than 40 such cancellations. Tonight's Mega Million drawing will be for a $335 million jackpot or a $153.1 million cash payout. So, if you want to play the game, you still have the opportunity to do so. So there you go. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Yep. I mean, it's an option. You don't have to play. Some people get so upset about it. It's kind of interesting on how it looks. Anyways, let's talk real quick about some things that are going on. This year, holiday tour of the Brusamore Mansion is taking a step into the present. Take a listen.
We also added some audio elements that we haven't had before. You'll get to hear diary entries from the Douglases. You'll get to hear some Christmas stories. It just adds an extra festive element for you to enjoy.
Okay, so you can be festive if you're out in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So there you go. Anyway, cleanup efforts are underway after a main water break caused a serious mudslide in Hacienda Heights in California. The residents say that the sign of a potential problem had been showing for a while.
We had water leaks that started well over a week ago that were reported by several neighbors, and they said it was fine, that they'd deal with it, but we knew that eventually it was all going to wash down.
Okay, the Los Angeles County Fire Department initially thought that it was a sinkhole that developed at about 6:30 on Monday night. 4 homes were affected by water and debris flows, and one of those properties has mudslides. With the house. 7 homes are without water. A resident describes the mess in the neighborhood.
It's a disaster. Their cars are blocked in with rocks and wood. It's a disaster.
Okay, so there you go. It sounds like a disaster for sure, as you are taking a listen to what is going on. Take a listen to this one coming out of Detroit. Wayne County Sheriff Raphael Washington is putting out warning about the scam artists that are using high-tech efforts to steal people's money. Washington says that scammers are very professional and can fool people by spoofing law enforcement phone numbers and using voice-altering technology to confuse victims.
They use our names, as this is Sheriff Washington calling you. You have a warrant, or whatever it is, you need to bring this money to a certain location.
They have made no arrest yet. One person was pulled over by a deputy as they were speeding to a bank to get money for the scammers, and the deputy was able to prevent the crime from happening. Wayne County Sheriff Raphael Washington also says that scam artists are using high-tech efforts for fooling people in the area.
These are very professional people. They can fool you, our citizens, and we have to put a stop to it.
Yeah, it sounds kind of an interesting one. I would like to get some more data, that is for sure. Anyways, a New York City cop is under arrest and charged with fracturing his girlfriend's face. Andrew Whitman has more.
Prosecutors say Officer Travis Grant has been treating his girlfriend like a punching bag for 5 months. It came to a head Saturday when the 30-year-old knocked out his 21-year-old girlfriend inside his Canarsie home. They say since May, he's bitten her, choked her, bruised her, punched and cut her, and more. The Daily News reports Grant's been charged with 24 counts, including 2 counts of strangulation. The 7-year NYPD veteran is due back in court Friday. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
So let me ask the question. It took 5 months for somebody to say something, or I'm confused. It was going on for 5 months and she had reported. I want some more detail. Would love to hear some more on what exactly was going on. It sounds like a terrible thing in regards to what was happening there. Take a listen to this one. People are are living in Suffolk County may not be able to connect to emergency service if they dial 911, Andrew Whitman explains.
The Suffolk Police Department reporting that one unnamed cell carrier's calls to the emergency number are intermittently not connecting. Callers may get busy signals after dialing 911. If that happens, people are urged to hang up and call 631-852-COPS, then follow the prompts to be connected to local police. Riverhead police are available at 631-727-4500. The department says it's working to fix the problem and that the issue is not stopping emergency services from being dispatched. Andrew Whitman, NBC News Radio, New York.
I wonder how many people would remember that number. I mean, because I just heard it and I wouldn't remember that shit if it was an emergency. I can tell you that off the top of my head. Take a listen to this real quick. Coming out of Grand Rapids, LED lights are now being used by the Michigan Department of Transportation along with detection systems to prevent wrong-way crashes and Grand Rapids Highway MDOT John Richards explains.
The wrong-way red signs that have been in place for years will flash repeatedly at the driver, hopefully alerting them that they're going the wrong way.
MDOT is working with the City of Michigan State Police on the system, and they are being installed at the busiest ramps in Kent County. Currently, there are on ramps for US 131 at Hall Street and Cherry Street, and will be installed on the US 131 ramps on the 28th streets and on streets in January. The detection systems will be installed on 16 different ramps by next summer. John Richards also says that they're using the LED lights to prevent wrong-way crashes in particular. Take a listen.
These flashing LEDs, that's a game changer. So if you don't notice that, then there's something really wrong going on.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine if you have some giant flashing lights and you're not seeing them, that could potentially be a problem. Let's talk about Pueblo, Colorado. A Pueblo woman is filing a lawsuit against the Pueblo Police Chief, Chris Knoller, and one of his officers as she was tased and unarmed. The incident was caught on body cam footage that was released by the 39-year-old Christy Gonzalez attorneys alleging excessive force. According to the lawsuit, Officer Bernie Villanueva tased Gonzalez despite the fact that she was complying with his commands. Her attorney says that back in February, Officer Villanueva pulled Gonzalez over and suspected of a stolen truck. The lawsuit states that she got out of her car and put her hands up, and Villanueva stated on his radio that she was running away and ordered her to the ground before tasing her. Gonzalez lawyers want to know why Villanueva is still working after the internal investigation and found that he did use excessive force. Pueblo police could not comment on the pending litigation. So what do you think? I mean, if there's body cam footage, there must be a lot of questions that need to still be answered in regards that if he's still out there. I mean, one would have to make an assumption here, and you know what assuming does around here. That is for sure. So let's not do that one. Anyways, with that being said, it is that time for us to do that thing that we do. So let's do it right now.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
You know, it's time for us to talk. It's time for us to take a look. It's time for us to converse about that main story stuff, because why wouldn't we? I mean, let's look at it that way. And listen, they're not all beautiful. They're not all encompassing. They're not for everyone. But sometimes you have to take a look at what's going on inside of the org. Sometimes you have to take a look at what is happening inside of the world of what is going on with systems. You have to take a look at the world of what is happening when you think no one's watching. And that's what I want to talk about today. And listen, we all have a job that we have to do. Good, bad, or indifferent, depending on how you want to take a look at it. Some people love their job. They don't even consider it a job. They consider they have a privilege of doing a career that it wasn't something that they expected. On the other side of the equation, you have some other stuff that happens, and we get to take a look at and move through and move forward with. And not everything that you get to do is what we could deem lovely. It's not great. It's not perfect, and it should never be designed to being great or perfect. I mean, let's just be realistic. But at some point, people get, we'll say, quote unquote, fed up with what is going on with the system. And at some points, people get fed up with what is going on inside of their workplace. Shit, some people even get fed up on what's going on with relationships that they're in. And I asked that weird thing, that weird question to come about. At what time and at what point do you say, well, enough is enough? Maybe it's time to move forward and go elsewhere. And let's kind of be very specific here as we talk about this. I'm not saying that at the point that something doesn't go your way, it's time to say, let's get the hell out of here. But at some point, you have to have that discussion of what is going to keep you sane, what is not going to keep you sane. I mean, just imagine that you're in a work environment where you're treated as, quote unquote, the safety cop. You know, that moment that you're walking down the hallway because you're going from one place to another to go take a look at what the hell's going on with whatever. And you hear you hear it, oh no, you know, that kind of stuff. At some point, you have to look at it. It gets to people. That stuff gets to people after a period of time. I mean, you can have the toughest and roughest skin possible, but at some point, it's going to bother you. You might not say it there. You might not want to talk about it, but these are things that happen. And at what time or at what point do you call it? Do you say enough is enough? And I'm not saying as the first time that it happens, but at some point, people just get fed up. So as you hear this and as you look at it, do you ever get involved with scenarios that happen that way? Do you ever get involved with things that make you question if you should move forward with staying within an organization, staying within a relationship, staying within a department? There are some questions to ask there because things sometimes can get weird inside of workplaces. Sometimes things can get weird inside of relationships. So as you look at it, what do you look at? What do you value? What is important to you? Is your headspace super important? Is it the way that you look at stuff on staying or moving forward or not staying or moving forward? Because can you stay at the place that made you sick and not happy and still be okay? Maybe that's one of those weird questions that you should think about today as we are having some very strange discussions.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly. Less than $2 a month and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
To some people, the sound of a baby babbling doesn't mean much. But that's not necessarily true. By 6 months, they're combining vowels and consonants. By 9 months, they're trying out different kinds of sounds. And by 12 months, their babbling is beginning to take on some meaning. Especially if there's no babbling at all. Little to no babbling by 12 months or later is just one of the possible signs of autism in children. Early screening and intervention can make a lifetime of difference and unlock a world of possibilities. Take the first step at autismspeaks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The following is made possible by Dad.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling all over it.
The dad joke. Corny, grown-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
Why do you have to be careful when it's raining cats and dogs? Because you might step in a poodle.
And kids that spend more time with their dads grow up to be smarter, more successful.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding.
And with any luck, funnier adults.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the dance? Because he didn't have any body to go with.
Dad jokes rule. So take a moment to make a moment and give your kid a laugh. It's as easy as going to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
That's really funny.
If you think local radio sucks, wait till you hear our free-form station, Radio Big.
If you stay, I know we'll make it alright. I want the best for you, baby. We can face the dark side by side. I just want you to know that I'm fighting for you, fighting with you. You keep telling me that it'll be better if we're not together. You're scared of staying, looking for a way out to run, but I'm not leaving. We're not done. Will you stay, stay, stay? Will you stay, stay, stay? Will you stay, stay, stay? If you stay, I know we'll make it
Okay, there you go. You are still listening to the Rated R Safety Show as we are 42 minutes past the top of the hour. We are still broadcasting from the Safety FM studios. We are still hanging out on RadioBig.fm. And we are still doing our thingo. There is no doubt about that. This right here, yeah, this is Together by Elta. Yeah, readily available on Spotify, Apple Music, and also some YouTube music if you want to do it from that particular portion. So there you go. We would like to thank Elta for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. So there you go. There you go. Okay, so let's get back into the move and groove of things that are going on inside of the world. And let me tell you about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. To Write Love on Her Arms wants you to know that people have been where you are now and things can get better. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com. That's To Write Love on Her Arms. TWLOHA.com, and click on the section that says Find Help. Listen, all kinds of resources available on that website once you get there. No doubt about that. They will tell you a little bit about everything that is going on inside of the world, because that is the point. So if you're looking for things in particular, you'll know that immediately there's 24-hour helplines that they have access to on the website. They'll also have some portions talking about some things such as addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, self-injury, suicide, trauma, grief support resources, just to name a few. To find out more information, like I said, TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms. So there you go. Let's continue talking a little bit about some things that are going on inside of the worldo. And it's going to go something like this. Many, many, many happy returns. You know, with Cyber Monday over and done with, you might be dealing with some buyer's remorse and the plan to send back a few or at least a dozen of items that you purchased online. It turns out that these days, so many online shoppers are returning their packages that many retailers say that they've been forced to adjust their return policies. An estimated 44% of retailers now charge customers a fee to ship something back, and 33% in 2021. And that makes sense because processing costs companies money, plain and simple. But it isn't all bad news for companies accepting returns. Call it girl math, if you like. But Harvard Business Review's study found that consumers are more likely to spend refunded money than they would be on a bonus than unexpected cash that they found, because most people see the money as they received it from a return as already lost. The researchers recommended to retailers that they offer a store credit or an exchange in order to hopefully avoid giving you money back. I guess it's time for the dad joke, but I bought a boomerang on Amazon and it didn't work out so good. So I returned it and they said, "We received it. What's the problem?" You get it? Anyways, my wife agrees when she returns something worth $100 and buys something worth $200. It's like she got it for half off. You get it? I don't know why it works out that way. It just does. Anyways, let's talk about not sleepwalking, but let's talk about sleep talking. If you're stressed that you didn't get much sleep over the weekend and you still haven't caught up yet, experts have some advice for you. Don't worry about it. You'll only make it worse. Dr. Reena Mehra, Director of Sleep Disorders and Research at the Cleveland Clinic, says that worrying about getting the perfect 8 hours of sleep per night might actually result in a drop in sleep quality and duration. Another expert says, Dr. Shelby Harris of Albert Einstein College of Medicine said that patterns and other routines are more important than magic 8 hours. She also warns that you shouldn't be so rigid that you end up unable to sleep if your routine is messed up and if you're working late or dealing with restless child. Quote, "The pressures that we put on ourselves is making sleep worse." So I really see what they're saying there, but if you're not getting enough sleep, don't lose sleep over it. I mean, I just think about it because that's what it sounds like. And whenever I can't sleep, I get up, I have a snack. It doesn't help me sleep, but I at least have to, have a snack. I mean, how else would you look at it? What else would you think about? So there you go. Some things to think about for sure as we are talking here on the Rated R Safety Show. Let's get you back into some more news stuff because it's always important to talk about all this stuff. So Sports Illustrated says that it has deleted several articles from its website after publishing them under fake names and authors' headshots created with artificial intelligence. Michael Kastner has some more info.
The existence of the articles was revealed in a report from Futurism, which couldn't find any evidence of the author's existence and found the headshots for sale on digital marketplaces. Spokesperson for the Arena Group, which operates Sports Illustrated, says the deleted articles were product reviews created by a third-party company and that they have ended that partnership. I'm Michael Kastner.
Oh, that sounds ecstatic in regards of, oh yeah, it wasn't us. It was somebody else. It was our third party. I always love when I get to interact with people and it's like, oh no, it wasn't me. It was my assistant. A few days ago, I was actually walking inside of a retail box. Yeah, I was hanging out inside of one, and I asked somebody a question, and immediately their answer was, "I don't work in this department." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Okay, but you can still talk to me." It was like I think I had scared the person in regards of asking stuff. I always get kind of weirded out when people forget that, the logo on your shirt resembles that you work there. So just remember that. Anyways, take a listen to this. Veterinarians in Iowa are watching out for a respiratory illness in dogs spreading across the country. Take a listen.
And we don't know if it's necessarily a new pathogen, so a new organism that's causing this disease, or if it's more of the same of a pre-existing.
Dr. J.S. Palarm is a vet in Iowa State University, a small animal hospital. He says that it seems to be like a common kennel cough. He says that most dogs will recover. Some will need medication. He reminds dog owners to make sure that their dogs are up to date with their vaccines, and if they are sick, that they should be kept away from other dogs. Also, Iowa veterinarians are watching for other respiratory illnesses in dogs that have been spreading across the country. It is prompting the reminder from the Central Iowa vets. Take a listen.
Being sure your dog is up to date on their vaccines. Many of the pathogens that are responsible for this syndrome, the kennel cough, we have very effective vaccines for.
So there you go. Some stuff to think about if you have one of those furry pets. It's important to think about. No doubt about that. Take a listen to this. The suspect of a murder of a Little Italy restaurant manager is headed to prison for decades. This is coming out of Baltimore. Samuel Wise was sentenced to life in prison with about 50 years suspended after he pleaded guilty in January of 2020 of the death of Chelsea Patterson, who managed La Scale restaurant. Little Italy restaurants residents, and business owners says that the neighbors is not the same without Patterson.
He was one of a kind, full of love, just a great human being. Everybody knew Chesley because he was the face that you saw when you went into the restaurant.
It was a big loss for the neighborhood, even the people that didn't know him well. And very rough for the neighborhood when something senseless like that happens to good people.
According to charging documents, Wise was on a robbery spree when Patterson was shot in the chest and killed after leaving work for the night. Police linked Wise to the crime through surveillance video. Data shows that his cell phone and text messages. Baltimore City State Attorney Ivan Bates says that the tragic death of Mr. Patterson was a shock to the community and the city as a whole. For the case of the highlights, its commitment to hold the violent offenders accountable. The Little Italy business owner says the healing is beginning, but will never be over.
I feel like for the first time, we're kind of coming back. Always be a whole. Always be a whole.
I mean, you never know on when it comes to something like that on what can be said. It's just one of those scenarios for sure. Anyways, Baltimore police are searching for suspects in a pair of weekend carjackings at around 5 p.m. on Sunday. A woman was carjacked at gunpoint along Clipper Mill Road. The woman told police that the suspects robbed her and took her child out of the vehicle before they drove off. Residents in the north.
Oh, that's terrifying. I am so thank God that she was able to get her kid out.
On Saturday afternoon, two-man carjacked near a Walgreens on Falls Road on 37th Street. The 23 and 26-year-old victims were injured during the incident. They ran to a nearby sandwich shop for help. Both victims were taken to the hospital to be treated for injuries, but they were not life-threatening. Police have not said if the carjackings are connected to the same suspects. Hampton residents say that the crime has been out of control in the area.
I'm really not surprised because crime level in Baltimore is, like an everyday thing.
I mean, that's not a great thing to hear. Crime levels in Baltimore are an everyday thing. There you go. Anyways, let's bring some John Smalls into our life and let him tell you about the Motivation Minute.
The Motivation Minute is courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. Today's quote was submitted by Roger. Sir Anthony Hopkins said, "My philosophy is, what people say about me is none of my business. I am who I am and do what I do. I expect nothing and accept everything. And that makes life easier." We live in a world where funerals are more important than the deceased. Marriage is more important than love. Looks are more important than the soul. We live in a packaging culture that despises content. I love this. I agree with Sir Anthony Hopkins. And I sure wish more people would feel this way. I've recently been to some weddings that have lasted as long as the marriage. My advice is to spend more time working on the marriage than planning the wedding. This has been today's Motivation Minute, courtesy of InsuranceChicken.com. They're known for insurance quotes. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
U.S. health officials are expanding a cantaloupe recall after the number of salmonella cases more than doubles. The CDC says since last week, an additional 56 people have been infected from the outbreak. In total, nearly 100 people in 32 states have been sickened by the contaminated fruit, including 2 people who died. New York Governor Kathy Hochul has signed a youth sports safety bill into law. Jacqueline Carl with more.
Children's sports programs and camps are now required to have emergency equipment to help in case of cardiac arrest. They'll need to have an automated external defibrillator on site and at least one trained person at all children's camps and sporting events, including practices. Any program with 5 or more teams must comply with the new law. The legislation was sponsored by Westchester Senator Shelley Mayer, who says more than 7,000 children experience cardiac arrest emergencies every year.
Health updates, Sarah Lee Kessler, NBC News Radio.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, there you go. 55 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date. So let's talk about it. Back in 2021, Barbados becomes a republic by removing Queen Elizabeth as the head of state. The former British colony revived the plans to become a republic the year before. The country's Governor General, Sandra Mason, was sworn in as the country's first president after being elected by the parliament in October of that month. Also, singer Rihanna is declared a national hero. That happened back on this date, back in 2021. If you're looking at some birthdays for today, let's talk about a few of those. Shane Hardy turns 27. Chase Elliott, 28. Javis Landry and Adam Hicks both turned 31. Joe Cole, 35. Karen Gillian, 36. Mary Elizabeth Weinstein turns 39. Trey Songz turns 39 as well. Summer Rae turns 40. Eric Redbeard turns 42. Amy Garcia, 45. Jon Stewart, 61. Judd Nelson, 64. Ed Harris turns 73. And Berry Gordy, oh yes, good old Berry Gordy, founder of Motown. He turns 94 today, just in case if you did not know. So there you go. If you're looking at some days of the year to celebrate, let me tell you about some of those. It's National French Toast Day, National Day of Giving, and Red Planet Day. Yeah, Red Planet Day, just in case if you forgot. So there you go. Some things, some items to take a look at. So that way you feel inclined to do so. Anyways, did you know when comparing pets such as dogs and cats, it's easy to see which of the two generally requires more attention? Pups usually can't get enough love from their human owners, while cats tend to be much more independent. And that may be why pet owners generally show more care towards their dogs than their cats, and are willing to pay more for canine medical treatments, according to recent research by the University of Copenhagen. Whatever you do, please don't tell the cat about this, because I don't think it's going to go over too well. That is for sure, as we are talking. So there you go. Anyways, if you need a random joke for today, let's go with something like this. If you use the phrase easy as taking candy from a baby, try taking candy from a baby, because you might find out exactly it's not as easy as you think. Let's see, what else? If you need a phone starter for today, try this. How do you politely tell a visitor that it's time to go? I thought you just kicked them out and turned off all the lights, but then they might be confused that you're asking them to go to your room. I mean, I don't know. What are your options? It's kind of a weird thing. It's kind of a weird question, for sure. Anyways, if you have a question for the water cooler, try this. 68% of kids have done this around the holidays. What is it? Cried on Santa's lap. So there you go. There you go. Anyways, that's going to sum up our time together this morning as we get to hang out and do all the fun stuff that we get to do. If you stay on Safety FM, you can hang out with the likes of Sheldon Primus at the top of the hour. If you don't, you can come over to Radio Big with me and talk about the world of music and entertainment. Remember, Sheldon will hang out here and talk about the business of safety consulting and what is going on there. So that's an option for you if you're so inclined to do so. Anyways, thank you for always being the best part of Safety FM and Radio Big, and that is the listener, because without you, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do what we do around here. There is no doubt about that. If I can leave you with a deep thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. Forget all the reasons it won't work and believe the one reason why it will. Think about that. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
If you stay